If you've been self-publishing low-content books for a while, you probably know how this model works. You find a niche, you create a product, you list it, and you repeat that process over and over until you have a series of books that earns royalties consistently. But there's another type of book that I want to talk about today, and I think it's one that those people who are doing really well with low-content publishing ignore. Not because it's too hard, but because they assume it's too hard. I'm talking about high content nonfiction books, the kind that actually contain information, that walk a reader through something they want to learn, that sit on someone's Kindle and actually get read. What? And for a long time, creating one of those kinds of books took a serious amount of time. You either had to write the whole thing yourself, which would take weeks, sometimes even months, or you had to outsource it, which would cost money that you might not have wanted to spend on something that you didn't even know if it was going to sell or not. That's changed. And in this video, I want to show you exactly how it's changed, what the process looks like from start to finish, and why adding even just a few of these books to what you are already doing can make a really big difference to your self-publishing income. Now, if you are new here, I'm Caroline. I'm a self-publisher who has been creating and selling books on Amazon for over 7 years. And on this channel, I show you how to do the same. So why high content books are worth your attention. Before I do get into the how, I want to spend a minute on the why, because I think it's pretty important. Low content books are genuinely great. The low and medium content books will always be my number one. They're fast to make, they can be very profitable, and if you build a solid series of them, you've got something real. I'm not here to tell you to stop doing that or pivot away from it. That's not what this video is. What I want to point out to you is that high content books do something a bit different. Because they are actual books, books with real information in them, they tend to command higher prices. A reader who picks up a beginner's guide to personal finance expects to pay more for that book than they would for a lined notebook. That higher price point changes your earnings per sale in a way that adds up really quickly. There's also something to be said for how these books position you as a self-publisher. A well-made nonfiction book in a popular topic builds credibility that other products don't. Readers who find a book useful come back. They look for more books from the same author. They leave reviews that make your next book easier to sell. It creates a different kind of momentum than volume alone. And the practical thing is you don't have to choose. The self-publishers who are doing really well right now aren't doing just one thing. They're running low content for speed and volume, and then they're layering in high content for depth and long-term branding. Both strategies work together. One doesn't have to replace the other. Here's the thing about high content books historically. The biggest barrier wasn't knowing what to write. It was the actual writing. You can have the most brilliant idea for a beginner's guide to budgeting. You could know exactly who the reader was. You could have the whole thing mapped out in your mind, and you'd still be looking at weeks of work to actually get it all onto a page. That was the sticking point, the writing itself. And because of that, a lot of people who would have been perfectly capable of building a successful nonfiction series and brand never started. The investment felt too big relative to the uncertainty of whether it would actually sell. What's changed now is that tools exist specifically to help with this part of the process, not to replace your judgment or your knowledge of what readers actually want, but to handle the heavy lifting of getting words on the page so that you can focus on what really matters, which is whether the content is genuinely useful and whether it's going to sell. There's a new tool called CoAuthor.ai that handles the structural work, the outline, the chapter breakdown, the flow, and it does it fast enough that you can test an idea before you've committed weeks and weeks to it. I will show you exactly what it looks like in a minute. But now I want to talk about niche selection. You can use the best tools in the world and still end up with a book that doesn't sell if you've picked the wrong idea to begin with. The mistake that I see most often is going too broad. Something like investing or weight loss or how to make money. It sounds appealing because it's a big market, but that's also the problem. You're competing with books from big publishers, from well-known financial personalities, from people who have been building authority in the space for years. You're not going to outrank them on a broad term as a new self-publisher, at least not quickly. What works better is going one level deeper and thinking specifically about who the reader is and what problem they're trying to solve right now. Not investing, but investing for beginners. Not personal finance, but budgeting on a low income or saving money in your 20s. The specificity is what makes the book findable and what makes the reader feel like the book was written for them. So how do you actually find these specific ideas? The smartest place to start is Amazon itself. Go to the Kindle store, type in a broad topic you're interested in, and look at what's already selling. Pay attention to the titles and the subtitles of the books that are ranking well, because publishers who have done their research tend to put their keywords right there in the title. If you see the same kind of phrasing coming up again and again, that's the market telling you what it wants. The search bar is also useful on its own. Start typing a topic and see what Amazon autofills. Those suggestions are based on what real people, real customers are actually searching for. So it's a fast way to find a specific angle that has genuine demand behind it. There's also categories menu here where you can filter through various categories on Amazon and see what books are in each one and which ones are selling and which ones are popular with Amazon's customers. Google does the same thing. Type your broad topic into Google and then look at the autocomplete suggestions. Then scroll down to the people also ask section. Those questions are exactly the kind of problems your book can solve. The other thing worth doing is reading reviews on books that are already selling in your niche, and in particular, the 3-star and lower reviews. That's where readers tend to be honest about what the book got right and what it missed. Amazon's customers love to tell other customers what they like and what they didn't like about things. If you see the same complaint repeated across multiple books, for example, it was too complicated or it didn't cover X, Y, or Z, it assumed too much prior knowledge, etc., then there's a gap that you can fill. Now, I've done some research on some different niches on Amazon. I tend to stick with the big 3, and that's the 3 niches that have always been and always will be popular and profitable, and that is health, wealth, and relationships. So after researching different books in those big niches, I'm going to be creating a book about investing for beginners. And I want to explain why this particular topic works well. First, there's consistent search demand for it. People who are new to investing are always looking for somewhere to start, and that doesn't go away. It's evergreen in the way that some niches aren't. Second, it's a topic that naturally lends itself to a structured chapter-by-chapter approach, which is exactly what makes it well suited to the way CoAuthor.ai works. And third, the beginner audience is forgiving in the best sense, meaning they're not looking for advanced expertise. They want clarity, they want simple language, and they want to feel less confused than they did before they opened the book. That's very achievable. So keep that in mind as we go through this. Specific topic, clear audience, real problem being solved, that's the foundation. So I'm in the CoAuthor.ai interface. I just want to quickly show you the few different tools that are available in here in addition to the book creator. You can do some market analysis. There's also a cover generator and a title generator. All right, let's actually do this. We're going to start a new book. So the first thing we need to do is just spend a bit of time going through each of the steps, each of the stages of the process. And in general, the more information you put in, the better output you're going to get. The more direction you give the AI tool, the better the outcome's going to be, and the more tailored to what you actually want it's going to be. So we can enter in the things that we know that we already have decided on. If we have a book title, we can add it in. If not, we can let CoAuthor.ai generate some for us. And a lot of these are optional, but it's going to make your book super unique and super detailed and to really target the type of person who has this problem. Okay, then we come through to analysis, and what this does is it gives us a list of what it thinks is competitor books in our niche. Now, we're not going to be copying these books. We're just telling CoAuthor.ai what books are similar to what we're trying to create so that it can go and it can have a look at what is working. It can go through the strategies that these books have implemented, what people like about them and what they don't like about them, so that we can try to apply the same strategies to our book. So we kind of only want to keep the books that are for beginners or they're very simple, and then the AI tool will be able to get an idea of what we're trying to create based on competitors in our niche already. And then we get into differentiation. So how we can take those strategies that other people have used in their books, how we can make them unique, make them different, and make them stand out in a different way in our book. No matter what niche you're in, no matter what type of book you're going to be making something that's already been done before. Your job is just to find a unique angle and a unique take on it. So it's giving me 3 different options of what I want my differentiation strategy to be. And if I'm happy with one of them, I can go ahead, or I can get it to regenerate ideas if I haven't connected with any of them yet. So now we can create the perfect title. Although I am somebody who always says your title should basically just be the keywords that somebody's typing into Amazon. So for example, investing for beginners, I do want to see what options CoAuthor.ai is going to give me just in case it comes up with something a little bit better. So we've got 10 titles with a subtitle that it's come up with for us. And I would probably go with either the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Investing or How to Invest for Beginners, because like I say, I want my title to be the keywords that Amazon's customers are actually typing into the search bar. I don't want to make it hard for them to find my book. Then we can go into the proposed book, so what our main focus is going to be. Now, it gives us options here based on all the information we've already put in, and we can just sort of like narrow down even further the exact type of book that we want this to be, so that the tool gets it right the first time when it starts writing the book for us. Okay, so now we've got our proposed books. This is basically the overview, what the book is, who it's targeting, how it's differentiating itself from all the competitors, what the key selling points are, and the proposed author persona, so the pen name for who is going to be the name on this book. And now we're getting to the part where we can actually get ready to write the book. So I'm going to make the book between 30 to 35,000 words with 10 chapters. And we're just summarizing everything that we've already inputted into the tool. And it's going to start off by generating a book outline. So it's going to tell us the different chapters and how many words are going to be in each chapter to make up the total amount that we want for this book to be. We've got an introduction with 1,625 words. Then we've got chapter 1, why you're ready to invest right now. Chapter 2, what is investing actually is. And it's got the word count that it's going to write for each chapter. If you're wondering why the word count is different, that's because that's how books are. Not every chapter in a book is the exact same length. So this tool is really good at creating books that are very natural in the way that they're created. And what we're going to do is craft the sections. So each chapter is then broken down into different sections of what's going to be included in each chapter. So for chapter 1, it's created 3 sections: demystifying the myths, understanding the power of starting small and simple, and your first steps. So each chapter is going to have 2 or 3, maybe 4 different sections that's going to make up each chapter. If you have used other AI tools before to create books, you can probably see already how different and how much more specific and in-depth CoAuthor.ai is, because it has been created specifically to create nonfiction books. That's all it does. Whereas other AI tools do a lot of different things like research and creating images and all sorts of stuff. Like ChatGPT, you can go on there and do pretty much anything, but it doesn't do any one thing very, 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 very good. So CoAuthor.ai has been created specifically for books, and that is all it does. So something that you might be able to be paying attention to as it generates isn't just how fast it is, though that part is pretty impressive. What I want you to notice is the structure it produces, because that is where the real value is in this tool. So now let's move on to actually writing the book. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can generate the book section by section, or you can just generate the whole book all at once. I do recommend generating section by section, and the reason for that is because it is better to make sure the book is going in the direction that you want it to go in, section by section, rather than having it write the whole book and then you start reading it and you realize that something isn't the way you want it, or it's not going in the direction that you want it to. It is better to course correct as you're going through rather than doing it all at the end. It's a big time saver. So just create section by section and then read through each section, make sure it's exactly how you want it to be. And if you're happy with it, then move on to the next section. It might feel like it's taking a little bit more time, but in the end, if you do it this way, you're going to spend a lot less time on editing rather than doing it all at once and then finding out actually it didn't write it exactly the way that you had wanted it to. Here's what we've got. It's given us a title and a subtitle, a full table of contents, breakdown of the chapters, and look how it's organized this. It's not just a list of topics thrown together, it's following actual logic, starting with what investing is and why it matters, moving into the basics of how different types of investments work, then getting into practical steps for someone who's actually ready to begin. And that's the arc of a real book. Now, I'm not going to just take this and run with it. This is actually the most important thing that I want to say in this video, so just stay with me for a second. The output that you get from a tool like this is really just the starting point, not a finished product. If you do treat it like a finished product, you're going to end up with something that reads like I wrote it and readers can tell. That's not what we're building here. What I am going to do is go through the chapter titles and ask myself a few questions. Does this flow logically? Is the language clear enough for a real beginner, someone who has never owned a stock in their life? Are there any chapters that feel too vague or too advanced for where the book is supposed to sit? I go through the whole thing doing this, tighten up the language, make sure each chapter just has a clear purpose, and you can move things around if the order doesn't feel right. It won't take long and it makes a real difference to the final product. Once you are happy with the structure and you've done all your editing, you've added examples where maybe the text is a little bit too abstract or you feel it needs something something a little bit personal added in there. You can simplify sentences that might feel too complicated. Just make it sound like a person wrote it, because a person, you, is editing it into shape. And that is the process. It's much faster than writing from scratch. It's significantly faster, but it isn't zero work. And I think being honest about that is important, because books that sell well are the ones that are actually good. And being actually good requires some effort on your end. Now, making the book actually good. Let's think about this, because I do think that's what separates the self-publishers who build something sustainable from the ones who put out a lot of mediocre content and then wonder why it isn't selling. When you do get all this content back in your book, the first thing to do is read it like you are the reader, not as the publisher who's excited to get it listed, but as a complete beginner who picked up this book because they want to understand investing, but they're a little nervous about it. Does it make sense? Is it reassuring without being condescending? Does each chapter actually teach something specific, or does it just gesture at a topic without actually going anywhere? None of it is complicated. It's just being careful. And if you take a little bit of time to do it properly, you end up with something that you are genuinely willing to put your name on. Now, before I get into marketing, I want to take a quick second to talk about something that I think is worth considering once you have a book or even a few books that you're proud of. Something I want to show you while we're here is what happens when you take a book and think a little bigger than just an Amazon listing. Once you've got a nonfiction book in a niche like investing, you've actually got the foundation for a brand. Amazon is a great starting point, but it is not the only place where you can sell. Having your own website gives you a home for your brand that you control. You can sell products that are complementary to your books directly. You can build an email list. You can create a landing page that positions you as an authority in your niche rather than just one of many listings on Amazon Marketplace. Hosting a Horizons lets you build that website really easily, so much easier than it used to be. I've been using it to put together a simple brand website for this investing niche that we've been working with in this video, and I want to show you how quick it is. What's great about it is that you get everything in one place. A website builder, domain, hosting, email, and marketing tools. It's designed to be simple and fast, which makes it perfect for creators and side hustlers just like you and me building an online presence. One of the things I really like about the starter plan is that it does include a free domain name for the first year, which makes getting started super straightforward. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. So if you want to create your own website alongside me, then you're going to want to click the link down in the description box below to go to Hosting a Horizons. We are going to select the starter plan because it gives us things like the ability to create an online store so that we can sell complementary products and accept payments for those products directly on the website when we want to expand our self-publishing brand. To get the best pricing available, you can choose a 12-month plan. It's cheaper than paying month by month, and it will lock in the best monthly price, and it runs on AI credits. So you're basically using credits to generate and update your site as you go. It's very straightforward once that you are inside of it. Now, I do have a coupon code for you to use as well to get you an even better price, so make sure to pop that in before you check out to get 10% discount. Also, Hostinger do have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it out totally risk-free. Something else that's really helpful, I mentioned it just earlier, when you're creating a website for your self-publishing brand, is that Hostinger includes a free domain name for the first year. So choose yourself an amazing domain name and we can actually get to building our website. It's actually so simple. You start by describing what your brand is. So for something like this, you would enter a prompt describing a beginner-friendly personal finance brand that helps everyday people understand investing, sells books on Amazon, sells complementary products directly on the website, and has a clean, trustworthy, approachable feel. But that would be tailored to whatever niche or whatever type of book or whatever type of brand that you are creating. And then AI builds out a full site for you. Now, the Horizons tool is an AI chat, and you go back and forth. It will ask you questions. It will ask you to clarify things, and it will go back and forth with you until it understands exactly what you want to build. So you can see it's working on it in the background. It's generating all the code. Don't ask me what that code means. I have no clue, but that's the great thing about this. You don't need to know code. You don't need to know web design. You don't need to know anything. All you need to know is what you want your website to look like and what you want your brand to look like. And Hosting a Horizons does the rest. And this isn't just a front end website either. You can actually add things like user accounts, save data, even file uploads. So if you wanted people to create an account and track their progress through your content, or maybe download a budgeting worksheet or investment starter guide, you can build that straight into the website without needing anything complicated in the background. So what we've got is a homepage, we've got product sections, an about page, online store. Everything's just structured in a way that actually looks like a real brand. And so from here, I can tweak it. We can add our books, link them to Amazon. I can include downloadable products like budgeting spreadsheets, and most importantly, add an email sign up. So you're actually building an audience over time. And if you do want to sell directly from your website, you can set that up as well. You can connect payments. So whether that's digital downloads, bundles, or even your own products, people can buy straight from your website without leaving it. You can also upload your own images and use them as backgrounds, which makes a huge difference for something like this. If you've got a clean, trustworthy, professional aesthetic, you can carry that all the way through your website, so it actually feels like your brand, not just a generic template. You go from uploading books and hoping people find them to building something that people can actually come back to again and again. So once we are happy with this website and it has been built exactly the way that we want it, we can publish it so that people can come and find it and find our books and find our brand. If you're serious about turning this into a real business, having your own space outside of Amazon makes a huge difference. The link is down in the description below if you want to go check it out. It is a genuinely helpful tool if you're serious about building something beyond just individual book listings. Let's talk about getting people to find your book, because a great, well-made book that nobody sees isn't going to earn anything. The most straightforward starting point is Amazon itself, and there is actually a lot more leverage here than people use. Your title and your subtitle are doing the real work. They're not just there to sound good. They need to contain the words that your reader is actually searching for. Investing for Beginners is a good title, not because it's clever, but because it is exactly what someone types when they want that kind of book. Your subtitle is where you can add more specificity and just help Amazon learn even more exactly what your book is about and who it's for. It's something that will tell the reader exactly what they're going to walk away with. Your cover is incredibly important. It's the first thing somebody sees. And in a search and browse environment like Amazon, it's usually the only thing they look at before deciding whether to click. A cover that looks professionally made, clear, and appropriate for the niche converts better than one that just looks like it was thrown together very quickly. It's worth investing a bit of time here. Your description is another underutilized tool. Most people just write a summary of the book, but what actually works better is writing for the reader's pain point first. So start with where they are right now, confused, overwhelmed, not sure where to begin, and then show them what changes after they read your book. That structure converts. Now, beyond Amazon, I think the most underrated thing that you can do as a nonfiction self-publisher is create short educational content around your topic. If your book is about investing for beginners, a short video where you explain a concept clearly, like what compound interest actually is or how an index fund works. It does two things at once. It reaches people who are searching for that information, and it positions you as someone worth trusting, which makes them more likely to buy when they see your book. TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, even just posting written content on a blog or a newsletter, it's all working towards the same goal. You can also use the book itself as a marketing tool. You can offer it at a lower price or free for a short period of time. To generate reviews is a real strategy that a lot of self-publishers use, and it changes how the algorithm treats your book's listing. Reviews early on make every subsequent sale easier to get. Here's where it gets exciting, and this is the part I want you to really take on board, because it's where the real income potential is. One book is a product. A series of books is a catalog, and a catalog operates completely different. When someone finds your Investing for Beginners or whatever type of book it is and loves it, they are already primed to buy the next thing from you. If the next thing exists, they'll buy it. If it doesn't, they move on and they find someone else's book. Think about what naturally sits alongside something like Investing for Beginners or whatever it might be in your niche. In my case, budgeting for beginners, saving money when you're living paycheck to paycheck, building an emergency fund, simple wealth building habits, retirement basics for people in their 30s. Every one of those is a book. Every one of those has a clear, specific audience. And because they all exist in the same broader niche, a reader who buys one is a warm lead for all the others. This is how you build the kind of catalog that creates consistent income month after month, rather than just occasional spikes. The first book does the hard job of finding the reader. Every book after that is easier to sell because the trust is already there. There is a common saying in self-publishing or in publishing in general model, and that is more books sell more books. And with a tool like CoAuthor.ai doing all the structural heavy lifting, the barrier to creating that second and third and fourth book is so much lower than it used to be. You're not starting from scratch. You're not starting from a blank page every time. You've got a process that works. You understand what makes a book good in your niche, and you can apply your knowledge much faster each time that you do it. That's a real business model. Not just a single book sitting on Amazon hoping to get found, but a growing body of work in a niche that you understand, serving readers who keep coming back because what you're making for them is genuinely useful. So here's where I want to leave you. High content nonfiction books are not out of reach anymore. The part that made them feel difficult, the actual writing, is now something that you can work through so much faster with the right tool. What you're left with is what you're already good at if you've been doing this for any length of time, which is finding the right niche, understanding the reader, making smart decisions about presentation and marketing. The process that I walk you through today, topic selection using CoAuthor.ai to build that structure and the bulk of the book, refining that structure into something genuinely readable, and then thinking about how to market and expand into a series, that's a real workflow. It's not complicated. It does take care and intention, but it's not complicated. If you do want to try CoAuthor.ai for yourself, the link is down in the description below. Start with one idea, pick a topic you understand a little, or at least one that you're willing to spend a few hours learning about, and go through the process. See what comes out, refine it, and then think about what the second book in that series would be. That's it. If this was useful, let me know in the comments what niche you're thinking about starting with. I always find it really interesting to see where people's heads are at. And if you did enjoy this video, YouTube thinks that you might like these ones too, so please go check them out to learn more about self-publishing your own books on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.